Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, April 3rd, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. We have a very special guest on the line, 7Cs. He's out there causing trouble on the interwebs, trying to educate the masses out there what the hell's going on with scientific dictatorship, technocracy. We have a couple headlines, but not to leave him holding too long. Stock market crash today. I don't know if anybody saw that, but we're liberated. Trump liberated America. He liberated us from our savings, our retirement. And so we do appreciate that here at Weaponized News, the liberation of our wallets by President Trump. No talk about ending the central bank or anything like this that would really liberate us. And so, of course, insiders made a killing. As we've been reporting, Warren Buffett got out like a month ago now. And so, of course, he saw everything like this coming. So we're in a giant trade war, and it's going to be interesting how all of this sorts out. Okay, quickly, this day in history. In 1860, the Pony Express begins mail delivery. Happy Pony Express Day. In 1865, Union forces occupy the Confederate capital of Richmond and Petersburg in Virginia during the Civil War. In 1882, on this day, American outlaw Jesse James is shot in the back of the head and killed by fellow gang member Robert Ford. In 1925, Great Britain goes back to the gold standard. In 1948, the Marshall Plan was signed by Harry Truman, granting an initial $5 billion in aid to 16 European countries to rebuild after World War II. Think of that, $15 billion. That was a lot of freaking money back then. Now it's like 15 billion. Who cares? That's nothing now, right? In 1953, TV Guide for your color TV and mind control box that the large majority of Americans have in their living rooms. TV Guide was first published, so you could find out all the listings of your favorite mind control program to watch. In 1986, think of this. In 1986, the U.S. national debt hits $2 trillion. Now we're at like 37 trillion. Pedal to the metal here. And then it is Aquatic Animal Day. So happy Aquatic Animal Day. Let's go ahead and, well, let me do a segue here. Here's our segue video. New robot. And again, this is, we've been covering this guy, Brett Adcock. He's the CEO of Figure Robot. And let's play this short clip as a segue to our guest. And it seems like technocracy, scientific dictatorship, Skynet, Terminator. Seems like Terminator every day more and more is becoming a documentary. Here's the newest humanoid robots that Bill Gates says will replace us. Or I guess he doesn't specifically say that, but he says, they won't need humans in 10 years. There's no sound on this video, by the way, so it's not muted. But anyway, this is not scary at all, out of a dystopic sci-fi movie for our future there. Seven C's, how you doing this Thursday?
I am excellent. How about yourself, Sam?
I'm doing well. All right, do you feel liberated? President Trump liberated America yesterday. Are you feeling liberated?
I am feeling absolutely liberated from my value, my time, my self-worth. He's doing a great job. Trust the plan.
Trust the plan. There's still people saying that. Trust the plan.
Yeah. It's
what do we do with these people? I know people in real life. They're like, oh, you just don't understand. They're doing secret stuff behind the scenes, and they're going to get all these bad guys, and we're going to see justice. I'm like, really? You're really going to still keep going along with this nonsense?
Yeah, it's sort of a roundabout way. I've been thinking about this lately. You know the phrase "Don't believe your lying eyes."
Yeah.
That's what it seems like, because he's doing all this stuff out in the open that's actually happening, but you're not supposed to believe any of that because there's this secret narrative, and he's actually the guy on the inside trying to save everybody. That's why he was able to win this election.
It's all good. We just don't understand. And for the internet riddlers, if they can figure it out over there, if you look at the title of the show, I did it like that for the internet riddlers. If you look at the title of the show, it's called Scientific Dictatorship Technocracy. And if you turn it around, it says TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. And so I did that for all of you internet riddlers out there to figure it out about the secret riddle on the internet that we just don't understand.
Yeah, I like it. And another thing too, like the opposite side of that, I'm starting to see Trump delusion syndrome, you know.
Man, I'll admit I voted for Trump the first time, 2016 and 2020. I thought he was an outsider and not a politician. I didn't realize that how deep and long played out the long game of this whole thing is, and how many different players there really are. And it's like, if you're at any level like that, you're read into the script, right? And so it's just literally all they're all actors at this point, is my opinion of it. And it's all fake, but it affects our real life. People are really dying over this whole political theater charade that they feel they need to put on to distract everybody, essentially, from revolting against a corrupt system.
Yeah, it's tough, because trying to like break that cognitive dissonance with people has been probably the biggest challenge, because you can lay out, as a researcher and things like that, it's like you can list 1,000 facts and they'll just say, well, at least it wasn't Kamala. And it's like, well, it was never going to be Kamala. That was kind of the point of the setting up Joe Biden and Kamala, was let's make them as unpalatable as possible so that everybody, gets behind the Trump train for 2024.
I did not vote for Trump in 2024, specifically because of his ties to Aardvark land. I just couldn't take it. I was like, this is nonsense. And I think more, but that feels like a trap too, because more and more people are noticing Aardvark wrongdoings, but then it feels like they're being set up to me, and people are allowed to say, the actually bigoted things against them a lot I see. And it's like, I'm not going there, but it feels like a setup, because they're going to clamp down on all of that as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I sort of see it as like a honeypot that's going on right now, where, especially seeing the Anti-Aardvark Awareness Act and things that we're seeing get rolled out. I believe there was the Chabad Lubavitch. There was a guy from there that was like saying it needs to come with like a 5-year prison sentence and things like that. And I'm like, what is happening here? This is insane.
I saw that the guy that just got elected for Florida, I forget his name. He was saying 5-year prison sentence for flyers that are anti-Aardvark.
Oh, Randy Fine.
There you go. And so it's and they got that guy Brian Mast also out of Florida, congressman. He shows up in Congress wearing the IDF uniform. It's like, what the? If any congressman, any other country, he'd be kicked out immediately. There'd be outrage. But he shows up in an Aardvark uniform. Everybody loves it. It's like, what the hell? We're like living in some kind of dystopic, I don't know, upside down world here.
That's what it feels like, is cartoon world.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you a proper introduction. Your bio on the X says reality is a conspiracy exposing transhumanist globalist technocrats, and you're the host of Lies and Ties and co-host of Deep Web Pod, and you're a researcher, creator, presenter. So sorry, I didn't get to that when we first introduced you. Well, so let's talk about the stock market quickly. It crashed 1,600 points down at the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 down, and the NASDAQ dropped the most since 2020 after Trump's liberation of America, or as CNBC calls it, tariff onslaught.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was even talking with my better half a couple days ago, and I was like, the day that these tariffs end up hitting, everything is just going to fall to pieces, because I'm largely convinced, just based on like my research and things like that, that what's happening here with the American economy is on purpose. They want to see the dollar fail so that they can bring about the digital currency and these stable coins and things like Tether and Solana, and try to use those. And they're going to scapegoat the American dollar and find a way to justify it to people and say, well, the market's never going to crash again because we're using these things.
Here's these guys. That's a great segue. Here's these guys. David Schwartz, currently the CTO at Ripple and one of the original architects of the XRP ledger. He says we're in the middle of rebuilding the financial system. Let's watch this short clip.
Right now is a great time to be in blockchain because we have all this institutional adoption. We're at ground zero of something that's about to be really big.
We're in the middle of the sort of rebuilding of the financial system, and Ripple is poised to figure out where the interesting things are.
We're trying to really leapfrog the current standards that other crypto companies are working on today.
Engineers get a pretty big say in what we do.
They really embrace big ideas.
To pursue those ideas and get those ideas used in the real world and validated. Not a lot of companies you get to do things like that.
It's really our one of day one. There's so much to build.
I tell candidates that come in, where else are you going to have that much leverage, that much impact than places like Ripple?
Exciting, right?
Yeah. In the worst way. And one thing that I heard him say was the institutional adoption, which I like to try to remind people. It doesn't work out very well, it seems, just given my experience. But people like Larry Fink and all these institutions that have historically sort of screwed us over, I guess, like economically. Larry Fink is one of the most excited about tokenizing everything and entering this digital currency. I think there's even a video where he's like smiling with glee, I guess, in like the future trillions of dollars that he's going to make, where he says, imagine every like stock, bond, trust, all of these things tokenized. And I'm theorizing that he's going to try to tokenize every strawberry in the grocery store.
Every single thing tokenized on the blockchain, accounted for, inventoried and accounted for, so then they can go about the orderly extermination.
Mm-hmm.
It feels that
not
way.
for them.
No, not for them. Well, they don't need us. Bill Gates said they don't need us. And we're seeing these humanoid robots roll out here. It's starting to look like they really don't need us. And this is just what they show us publicly. Who knows what they have privately? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a historical trend that the tech that they make like publicly available is 30 to 50 years behind what they actually have in like black projects and things like that.
Here again is the stock market. Let's just show it. There's a couple things gain prices. I don't know, Verizon and AT&T, bizarre. Here's that shot that like mashes it up so you could see just quickly here. Big tech down. You can see there all these big techs down. Apple down 8.3%. So all the big techs, even Amazon, almost everything's down. There's a couple that for some reason these telecommunication companies went up. I don't know. Anyway, major downturn in the stock market, that's for sure. today.
Yeah.
It's wild. Wow. I don't know. But Trump promises, we got some clips of him. He promises that the worst is over and we're going to see a boom after this.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of boom he means.
Here it is. Let's play from Trump today. He says, we'll let you hear it from the orange man himself. So, another thing I was going to tell you, we hate Trump on YouTube, but we like him on X due to censorship.
I gotcha.
Oh man, because I don't know if you heard, and I saw, and I watched a little bit. Honestly, I didn't have time to watch, but you went on Weezy's show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he interviewed a guy, I think I'm gonna say like 2 weeks ago, named John Bronson, and he's from what is he from? We Read the Documents. Anyway, he was having trouble like the rest of us with YouTube and the strikes and all this community guideline violations, and he had his channel suspended. And it's like the funniest thing ever. He wrote back on the appeal. He just said, "I will fight," to paraphrase him, something like, "I will fight to my dying day exposing Trump." And they gave him his channel back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I heard that. I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. So we hate Trump on YouTube. Here, do you hear us, YouTube? We hate Trump. Be kind to us. Okay, here's Trump telling us about how, don't worry about, you just lost your life savings. It's fine.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
So do you think he's factoring in the aardvark land investments to all of our politicians in that $7 trillion?
I don't think that's part of that equation. Yeah, that's come out. I mean, they brag, and like I've been reporting on it extensively. Just go to AIPAC X account and they openly brag how they own friggin' Congress, basically. It's like, wow, it's quite striking right there public for anyone to go see and say, that seems rather disturbing that this foreign lobby group has so much power over our, quote, elected representatives. It's quite scary and shocking. And nobody seems to care. And I continue to report and bang on about, because it is shocking as well. We're in a freaking war with Yemen, and Congress took the week off on Tuesday and went home and went on vacation. And there's nothing. And we're bombing Yemen. They're shooting our drones down. And so that's called a war. And nobody seems to notice, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah, and you can especially tell that it's escalating, and I've seen some headlines and stuff about Trump's consideration to bomb Iran even, and I mean that should be a major red flag, especially for the people of his base. I know he has like a largely Christian base, and like the war with Iran is supposed to be sort of a signal of the end times and the apocalypse to come.
We've covered it here. They're following this whole fake Schofield Bible, prophecy to bring about Armageddon over there in West Asia, to bring about the Antichrist, and then they believe bring about, that's the evangelical Christians, and then on the other side, they're religious fanatics, and these people are dangerous and scary, and they think they're going to bring about their fake biblical prophecy, but I don't see how it could be legitimate if it's by man and not supernatural. But somehow they're going to play along with it, and to build the third temple there, right? They want to blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and we just reported yesterday Ben Gvir is over there provoking the Muslims doing his Talmudic rituals right there at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. He wants to provoke them to attack, to make it a larger conflict, to blow up the mosque, to build the third temple there. It's pretty obvious what's going on. They're not taking the bait, but what do you make of these religious fanatic maniacs that are literally praying for Armageddon, for the end of the world? They're quite scary to me, actually.
Oh yeah. One figure that comes to mind is Mike Huckabee. He has specifically said, you know, that he wants to that we're in the end times, and he's excited for like the world to come and for, you know, the rapture. I guess he believes they're going to be raptured because they blew up Iran. It's insane because these are also the same people that Trump is filling his administration with. So they actually
he's the ambassador to Aardvark land.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's you have people like him. You have Stephen Witkoff was an interesting pick too, because he's just a real estate developer. And
but what are they doing there? They're doing a real estate redevelopment plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And like the writing is on the wall for the people that can step outside of it and see more than like 2 steps and see the big picture and stuff. And it's like, why else would they pick someone like that if they weren't planning on demolishing the entire thing and building it back up from scratch? And I've seen mentions of like them doing a digital only currency society over there, and 15-minute city model and stuff has been sort of mentioned. And it's insane to just see people cheering that on. I thought these were the globalist plans that, you know, the Republicans and libertarian base were very staunchly against, as far as I'm concerned. And in my 10 years ago, you know, is the same thing Alex Jones was warning against. And now you see him cheerleading for him every single day on the Elon and Trump show, InfoWars. And it's crazy.
They're cheering on the North American Union, taking over Canada, taking over Greenland. I haven't seen them float the idea of taking over Mexico. That's probably next. For the North American Union, like you say, 10 years ago, railing against it. We can't have a one world government regional system like this because that's exactly what they want. And so we have to fight it with every fiber of our being. But somehow when Orange Man is in there, it's all good. And we can just close our eyes and go back to sleep. Apparently, where do you think we're at where are we at in this great reset? Because that was like 5 years ago. The King, I don't think he was king then. Was he king? King Charles launched the Great Reset. Where do you think we're at in the Great Reset? Because apparently, like you say, InfoWars, Alex Jones, that just went away. I think we're still progressing down the path of the Great Reset here now. Where do you think we're at in it?
So I think that right now we're sort of on the tail end of what I would consider like the 4th industrial revolution, which is like the big tech sector, and them sort of getting all of these things in place regarding data centers. And I don't know if you've seen, but just from September to December last year, there were headlines of every single big tech company entering the nuclear industry and starting to buy like nuclear plants and nuclear reactors. And they're all specifically saying that they're to power these AI data centers. And I think they're still trying to get some things in place, at least on the public side of things. I'm sure that they're well further than they'd like to show us. But I would say that we're probably on track for 2030.
UN Agenda 2030, goals for sustainable development. I don't know. One good thing that I have seen coming out of the Trump administration is the EPA. They're basically saying we're done with climate change. We're done with the whole carbon. CO2 is bad. Basically, they're like, we're done with it. Lee Zeldin at the EPA. That's one good thing I could see that they're doing. At least one branch of the federal government there. They base and you hear Trump say it, and they're all saying that Green New Scam's over, and it feels like, I don't know, that doesn't really align with Agenda 2030, because that's like the big one. If they can get everybody on this carbon tax, you know what I mean? So that's kind of counter to the whole one world government agenda.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting game that they play where just at least in my opinion, where over time they'll slowly sort of throw a bone, I guess, to make people believe that things are sort of reversing, and then 5-10 years later they end up pulling the rug on that. A big thing for me is Elon being in Doge. He's pushing the electric vehicles still. Tesla has been all over Twitter, my feed and all that stuff, of all these influencers who I suspect are largely getting paid by the state. And they're pushing for Tesla. I've started to see stuff about like electric vehicles coming out of China the last couple of days, and them showing videos of that. And that's sort of
we've redefined them on the show. They're not electric vehicles, they're battery powered cars or vehicles. Okay. Not electric.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and the thing with the batteries too is like you need tons of lithium, know, and that's what is in Greenland, and that's like where they're setting up all these mines and things like that, because they need these resources to build all these batteries for the battery powered cars, the humanoid robots. Like all of these things are going to have to be rechargeable, otherwise they're plugged into the wall.
Do we start? What do we do? Do we start selling these what do they call them? To shoot the robots with a beam, right? With the electromagnetic frequency. Do we start coming up with EMF guns to be able to zap the Terminators when they come after us? You know what I mean? Or the drones or whatever the heck. Because we've seen they've militarized these drones now. The robot dogs. We've seen them with machine guns on the back of them, rocket launchers. So imagine they can easily weaponize and militarize these humanoid robots that I'm sure they have. They're just not showing us yet. They've shown us the robot dogs weaponized. And so it feels like we need some type of defense if they do actually turn Terminator into a real life situation here.
Yeah, I especially seeing that. I think it was Howard Lutnick was just on a show recently, and he was saying, for only $30,000, you can get this robot that'll fold your laundry and handle your house chores and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, can you also mention the part where if you happen to say anything the government doesn't like, it can do some other things?
It throws the cuffs on you right there. I heard you talking. Hey, honey, no, Trump's good. Okay, no, Orange Man good. Don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and you think about like the smart speakers, right? Where it has the microphone in it, and it's always listening, and these robots have cameras so that they can see and analyze things. So it's literally like a smart speaker with cameras on it that can strangle you.
Your own private spy device right there, keeping track of you 24/7. And so what could be better? I mean, everything's already wiretapped, spied on. I don't know how much more data they could possibly. That's probably why they say they're done with us, because they have all the data on us. Everybody's profiled, and so they're done now. They're just like, you 7 Cs, you Sam Cheney, you're pretty high on the list because you're speaking out against this. I'm sure there's people a lot higher than us, but they're like, you're in there on the list too when it goes full on, Terminator, Skynet takeover. You're on the list for a visit from a drone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially seeing the government's response to like the Tesla attacks that we're seeing, which I think are being funded by them so that they can push this agenda, but they're labeling them as domestic terrorists.
I asked that question: Would Elon Musk do a false flag on himself to gin up support for? And even before this, Tesla stock has been going down for like the last year and a half. The company's been losing stock value, and so it's like, would he do this to try to play the victim? And it looks like it's working. I don't know. Think of how stupid it is, the whole left-right paradigm that they have us in, 2 years ago, quote, liberal Democrats, environmentalists would shame you if you didn't have a Tesla. And now today they're literally attacking Teslas. Like, I believe that it's probably is orchestrated on the top, and then they get the radical crazy people to go along with it, and copycats and whatnot, and people that are triggered by this, by what's going on by Trump and Musk, that are they're essentially pro-corruption. I don't get it, because it's like, okay, Doge exposed all this corruption. They're downsizing the government. So how could you be against that, unless you said, well, we know that government run by humans is corrupt, but they're going to bring in AI that's going to be corrupt, run by them. And then you literally, no one's answering the phone. You're not having any human action, whatever. And it's just going to be Skynet is already pre-programmed to you cause too much trouble, the drone shows up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, absolutely. Like they say they're getting rid of the bureaucracy and stuff too, where they're not. They're just digitizing it and having the AI do it all. It's still gonna be the same terrible government that it has been, for ages. It's just you won't have anybody to yell at anymore. It's gonna be a non-feeling machine that just does whatever they want.
We can't even. Yeah, it's like we can't even, there's not even a bureaucrat that doesn't care on the other end. But it was getting crazy. They're like, nobody in the federal government, ever since the medical intervention, the lockdown, nobody from the federal government even shows up to work. They said 6% show up to work, and like 4% of that was security and janitors to all these federal office buildings. Like, literally no one even showed up. And it's like, what are they doing? I guess they weren't doing much of anything, just racking up big paychecks and benefits at taxpayers' expense. So it feels like they were set up to take the fall, and they didn't see ahead that, hey, this is too good to be true, and we're being set up to be demonized, to essentially be liquidated, fired out of here, which is exactly what we see happening right now. And they weren't smart enough to say, we should be going to work here now, or we're going to be fired out of here and lose our cushy jobs.
Yeah, it really is like they've set up like a catch-22 almost, it seems like. Very much like with the election, where it's, if you were anti-Trump at all, then people just assumed you were pro-Kamala or pro-Biden. And it's like, no, I'm pro neither of those things. I'm pro-people. And that's why I have the stance that I have. And it's actually interesting, because when you look into like Elon's past, not necessarily his, but his grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, he worked with this company called Technocracy Inc. out of Canada. And they sort of were inspired by this guy named Thorstein Veblen. And Thorstein Veblen essentially said that he wanted to establish a Soviet of technicians. Now, this was...
Who names their kid Thorstein? That's a crazy name, right?
Yeah. And he said he wanted to set up a Soviet of technicians. So sort of this like government, owns not only all the companies, but also basically controls the market, tells everyone what to do. And it was sort of a 4-part thing. And you can even look at this. So this book that I'm going to be quoting this from is called Life in a Technocracy, What It Might Be Like. And it was written in 1933. But just to kind of show you like how long I think this plan has been. But the first step was the voluntary abdication of all absentee owners of big business. So that would be, vilifying the BlackRocks and the big investment firms and the Rothschild banking industry and all these things, which are terrible. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think these things are terrible, but you have to accept this other thing if you want that to go away. The second part was their replacement by reform-minded technicians and workers. So sort of like what we're seeing with Doge. The creation of a national directorate to supervise the reallocation of all goods and services, which I think is sort of going to stem from this stock market crash. I think we're going to continue to see a downward trend until the point where they say, hey, we have to fix our whole monetary system. And then that's where things like Ripple and Tether come in. And then the last one is the elimination of the artificial price system based on the equally artificial monetary system. And then again, that sort of feeds into the crypto thing. And he insisted that if the technicians and workers were so inclined, they could, by withholding their indispensable knowledge and skills, soon paralyze the whole of the American government. And that's a direct quote.
And that's exactly what they're doing right now.
Exactly. And it's crazy to think that,
that was written in 1933. We're in 2025, so a little less than 100 years here now, and we're seeing it come to fruition.
Yeah, and I honestly, because when Joshua Haldeman was operating Technocracy Inc. out of Canada, he was, passing out flyers, trying to convince people, hey, we need to overthrow the government and install this thing. He was found in violation of the Defense of Canada Act, and he got fined $8,000 and then fled to South Africa and had Elon's mom. And I think Elon's kind of been conditioned to come back and fulfill that legacy a little bit.
How is Elon Musk running his 4 or 5, how many ever companies he has, but he's on X all day posting memes? It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You would think investors, shareholders in those companies would say, wait a minute, how are you running all of these companies allegedly for a profit, but you spend all day posting memes on your social media app? Like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? It doesn't look like he's really running anything, and not the genius that they tell us. But don't they give us fake backstories for all of these big tech guys? Like Zuckerberg built Facebook in his Harvard dorm room. Elon built Tesla in his mom's garage. I don't know if they said that one, but they do like to or Bill Gates built Microsoft in his garage. And Steve Jobs built Apple in his garage, right? And it's like, wait a minute, come on, man. This stuff is all coming from secret government projects, right?
Yeah. Like you can even go look. It was like the day before Facebook launched as LifeLog, DARPA shut down their LifeLog program. I'm sure those two things aren't correlated.
Zuckerberg is a tech bro now, and so he went to the White House yesterday. Actually, he drinks a beer surfing, and so it's all good now. He said that he's not going to ban anybody anymore on Facebook.
Yeah. Forgive me for all the miracle suppression stuff that I did.
Man, so we're in the middle of them rolling out the technocracy for us here now.
Yeah, I've actually so I'm pretty synonymous with these webs that I do. That's sort of playing the association game, right? Because that's sort of how it works. Is people they all know each other and they reward each other with board seats that gets them paychecks and stuff for being in this club. And I used one to create this sort of model that I think we're seeing unfold like right before our eyes. And if you'd like, I could share my screen and kind of break down.
Hold up, let's do the deep dive connecting the dots. It's all just a coincidence, It's all just a coincidence. There's no conspiracy whatsoever. Rich, powerful people don't meet and think about how they're going to keep their wealth and power. That would never happen.
Right. So what we have here, and I'll sort of break this down a little bit here, and I have like news headlines or references to things to sort of back this up. But I mentioned to you about the nuclear AI power plants and for the data centers. And over here is where 3 Mile Island was actually purchased by Bill Gates back in September of last year to power his data centers. You have Google, who is moving into nuclear power. They're even setting one up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where there was the Manhattan Project and all of that going on. Amazon paid $334 million for nuclear reactors at Hanford, and Meta is seeking nuclear power for their AI data center. And then I kind of, a little cheeky here, but I
think of this. This is why they had to back off of the whole climate change thing, because environmentalists would have went crazy over this stuff, and so that's why they're backing off of carbon tax, of the whole the whole deal, that the Green New Scam, essentially, the Green New Deal. They had to back off of that so these guys can roll out their nuclear powered data centers.
Yeah. And it's wild to think too, because we already have sort of an energy crisis now. Whether that's a manufactured energy crisis or not, it's hard to say.
It is, as we cover on the show. My co-host on Tuesday and Fridays, his name's Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy. Anyways, alternative breakthrough energy entrepreneur. And he has documented over 4,000 technologies that have been seized and put on the shelf, essentially. And so they're holding back over 4,000 inventions for breakthrough clean energy from the public here, essentially.
Yeah, and I think back to Trump's first term, where he had that IP3 international scandal with people like Mike Flynn and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, where he was attempting to facilitate the selling off of nuclear energy to places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia. We're not going to see that trickle down effect, of that nuclear capability. It's just going to get sold and go overseas. Argentina, actually, one of the main ways that Javier Milei balanced his budget was energy exports. He hawked all the gold that was in the country and then started selling rights to their energy infrastructure. And that's how he ended up reversing their deficit that they've had. And they want to say he's like a hero and stuff.
The libertarian hero with a chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, these sort of things are happening not only here in the US domestically, but these companies are also investing in nuclear power worldwide. And so that's sort of one piece to it. The other one that I see is the global cloud. So that's going to operate sort of as like a brain for everything, where it's going to be this decentralized centralization model, where it works a lot like crypto, where
say that again. Decentralized centralization. That's kind of okay. Explain that, because that's hard to wrap your head around, because it feels like an oxymoron.
Yeah, absolutely. So sort of how crypto blockchains work, how you have all these different nodes and stuff that all take a piece of the blockchain and sort of make instances of them and report all to each other. And there's essentially one main overseeing node that gets all of this information to keep the ledger up to date. You're also seeing that with data centers around the country and around the world, where they're building all of these things so that, if somebody decides to get a little feisty and maybe wants to get rid of one of these data centers, well, there's 45 more, and they're all going into this cloud here. So it is centralization in the sense that they're all feeding it into the same places. But it's decentralized in the sense that you can't just take one off the board and cripple the system.
I see. Yeah, that's a good explanation.
And you have Amazon Web Services, which hosts, I would say, roughly 70 to 80% of the internet. All of Netflix itself is hosted on Amazon Web Services. You have Bill Gates, Microsoft Azure global infrastructure. So they have a global AI cloud now. Google Cloud's been a thing for quite a while as well, and other companies. And that's sort of what's going to host all of the data and things like that. And it's going to be powered by these nuclear power plants. And then this next portion is sort of like the global satellite connection. So with Elon Musk's Starlink. You know, he always posited it as he wants to connect the world and like bring internet to all of these very, very remote places. Inversely, there's also not going to be anywhere that you can not be connected. So if you wanted to, you know,
no privacy ever again if you have any
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. It's like, you know, he says this is for people that want to be off the grid. Well, really all it's doing is bringing the grid to the most remote areas in the world. And, you know, you have Elon Musk, you have the space cloud partnership between Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, where they're all trying to send satellites into space that interoperate with each other and connect with each other. Starlink has a partnership with T-Mobile, and I think you can even trial the Starlink T-Mobile like service for free. And that's just sort of like a data point for them to make things, you know, more efficient and work out the bugs and get everyone sort of connected to this experience to show like, hey, you can be in the Amazon rainforest and get 5 bars. Look at how great it is. They're saying now, like astronomers are stating that Elon Musk has so many satellites in orbit of the Earth that it's starting to block our view of the universe, which is very interesting. About a month ago, I went outside and I was looking at the stars.
Well, then maybe they won't need to do the geoengineering anymore with the chemtrail contrails, and they can just block out the sun with satellites.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be sort of like a multi benefit for them that way, and then they'd be able to go outside.
I was saying it's going to get to the point you're going to have to pay them for access to the sun, and that may very well be they just park a satellite in front of the sun, and if you don't pay your fee, you get no sun.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was some service or something, and I don't know if it was like an April Fool's thing, but it was showing like I think it was a proof of concept where you would be able to essentially have fake sunlight, and it was basically a satellite would be up in space and it would turn to reflect the sunlight back at you so that you'd be able to have it wherever you want. You could feed it coordinates and stuff. And I think that was sort of like predictive programming that was happening and showing people like, hey, this is the future you're going to get. Very much like the WEF. And then
but aren't people smart enough to realize that if your data is on the cloud, then you don't own your data?
You would think, and I remember there being who was it? Andrew Yang, I think, was trying to pay people for their data, or like trying to get that started. But he was also the guy that was preaching like universal basic income and stuff. So, you know, I think that was sort of a, hey, we might be able to get everyone to stop working so the robots can take over if we just, you know, say that these payments are coming from the government for letting us use their data. And, you know, then that didn't work out so well. And instead we got stimulus checks.
I'm waiting for my Doge $5,000.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sure now with the
just
economy
keep waiting, right?
Yeah. Just keep trusting the plan. And oh, by the way, the economy crashed, so it's actually $300 instead of the 5,000 we promised. Sorry about that.
Oh man.
And then this kind of touches on that video you had played and the sentiments from the robots in the military. Like we're seeing, you know, I saw this from March 25th last year. The robots are coming. U.S. Army experiments with human machine warfare. So, you know, we've all seen the videos of those like Boston Dynamic dogs with the 50 caliber machine guns on them, and the flamethrowers and the rocket launchers. But China's also building, you know, various companies in China are also building them. Asus.
Have you seen the Chinese ball? It's like a ball, but it's a robot. The ball's crazy. It's like all terrain. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's got like tank, like they the video I saw, it's for like, it goes in the water, the mud, like, and they have different like tank tracks you could use on it. It's pretty creepy and scary. That this the ball just like pops up out of the water and whatever shoots you or does whatever it wants to you.
Oh wow,
the ball's pretty creepy.
Yeah,
it like rolls down the street like I don't know. It's wild though. The ball. I don't know. I forget exactly what the official name of it is, but it's basically a robot ball that is weaponized and armed.
They're probably going to call it the fear sphere.
Maybe the fear sphere. It is pretty scary.
Yeah, and you know, you have all these companies that are trying to be, I don't know whether it's like first to market or, you know, they're all just going to contribute on it together. What it's going to look like. Optimus seems to be the front runner right now, which is Elon's robots. But like you said, Bill Gates has his own. The China bot is RTG1. Thank you for that, Adam.
That's scary. That thing is scary, man.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it because the videos that I've seen, especially coming out of China, I mean, you know, they have a little more of like an authoritarian structure over there with like their facial recognition programs in all the CCTV cameras and stuff. It's really interesting.
It feels like they're way past us as far as the tyranny of the technocracy, scientific dictatorship.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think that it was sort of like a soft launch over there, and because we're, you know, Americans and we like to think that we're a little more independent and free of control, I think they're trying to manufacture the consent over here, where it's like, look at how well this robot is gonna, you know, it'll be able to fold your laundry and do the dishes and, you know, put the food away and all these things, and it's gonna make people want it, so that when the robots end up being a bad thing, they'll say, hey, we gave you what you wanted. You know, it's sort of like a mind game.
Here, I found the ball. You want to play the ball real quick, or you want to continue on this?
Have at it.
Okay, here's a minute video of the ball, and then we'll go back to all the connecting all the dots of these. But of course, they don't even know each other. It's just all coincidence. There's no plan. There's no global plan. Nothing. Here's that crazy ball. Thank you, Ruckus. Yeah, China bought RTG1. This thing is scary.
如同雏形机器人，能够在极端恶劣的条件下连续工作10小时以上。依托先进的人工智能技术，能够全自主地执行各类任务。当发现入侵者或者敌方目标时，能够以最快35公里每小时的速度攻击敌人。如果多名敌人四散逃窜，它能够在攻击敌人的同时，把逃窜者的方位发送给附近执勤的其他球形机器人协同抓捕。机器人能够承受高达4吨的冲击力量。机器人具有强大的跟踪、格斗、抓捕等战术能力。
It just ran over the dog.
I was gonna say we need to start having like robot fighting clubs if we're gonna do anything with them.
There was a show where people, not this advanced, but like the remote control robots where they would fight. I forget the name of the show, but
Robot Wars, I think.
There you go. There was a show like that.
Yeah, we should bring it back and have these like humanoid robots from different companies like fight it out.
And the winner gets the military contract, I guess.
Yeah. What better way to decide it? But yeah, it's crazy because like that footage that they're showing, and I'm assuming that was like for investors and stuff at like some sort of conference or something, to try to garner money and support. But it looks straight out of like an 80s dystopian sci-fi movie, and that's real. Like these things are. They're courting all the big finance firms that you know have always invested in the best things for us. It's crazy because they
for
just
public
see how much,
safety, of course.
yeah, and they just see how much money they're going to make, and they're not worried about 10, 15 years down the line when maybe someone they know could end up a target of one of these. I mean, I doubt it because nepotism sort of runs the system, but
It's like they never saw a Terminator.
Yeah. And eventually, you make these things a little too capable, and then who's going to be the one that's able to control them? We have like agentic AI or AGI. I think NVIDIA earlier this year said that they finally created like a rudimentary version of it, which is like the recreation of human consciousness, which I don't think they can do with machines, but they mapped out like the neurons of the brain, and they have all these little nodes that are like their own AI that interact with each other in a web that's supposed to create like a brain, and it self-corrects and things like that. So it's pretty crazy.
Are we going to see the singularity, or is this just all made up BS? What do you think?
That's a great question because we I think, was it yesterday or the day before, Neuralink actually just launched their clinical registration.
Are you going to sign up for that? I was thinking about signing up for it so I can get my brain chip.
I think I'm good. I think I'll stick to potato chips. But it's wild to think that, back when MK Ultra became sort of publicly available information, people were outraged. What do you mean you're going to stick electrodes in my brain and try to, control the way that my body functions or the things that I think? And now people are going to line up for it like it's the launch of the original iPhone.
Man, and they don't care if their data's on the cloud, on someone else's server, that they can be shut off from at any time for any reason. The Liberation Terminator robots are coming to save us. Man. And we're going to fight about Republicans and Democrats, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's a little ridiculous because I think too, I don't know if you've noticed that in the right-wing influencer sphere, they are starting to talk a little bit about Aardvark land.
They're finally figuring it out. But the problem is they're a bunch of them are Christian Zionists, and they're fully invested in the lies that their church has told them. I don't know how, obviously I don't know how long they've been raised up in it, but like if you're raised up in it your whole life and you're like, I'm a good Christian, I go to church every Sunday, but all this, that's a lot of indoctrination to overcome, to convince these people that, oh yeah, they're committing genocide, and they changed the Bible, and what you're getting is not the real deal here. And it feels like it's a culminated to bring about the prophecy to trick all of you people.
Yeah.
But try to convince somebody that they're talk about triggering somebody, go after their religion. You know what I mean? That's even worse than politics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the sort of criticism that we're just now starting to see from a lot of the big influencers, like you have Candace Owens and, Steven Crowder just came out recently and criticized Aardvark land. And I think that's all sort of a red herring so that they can set up this digital control system that we're seeing. I mean, there's things like the Internet of Bodies and W-band, and Elon's even said like people need a neural lattice, which is like a sort of a grid placed on people's brains so that we can interact with this AI. And Ray Kurzweil from Google, he actually wrote a book last year, and he predicted that singularity is going to happen by 2045.
Didn't Elon post that we're like he posted like not that long back on X that we're like very close to the singularity, he said.
Yeah, I mean, if it was going to be anybody saying it, it'd definitely be him, because I know Neuralink is probably leading the charge on they call them BCIs, or brain computer interfaces, And the WEF even projected that it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry in the next 5 years. So,
but they sell it to us. It's helping paralyzed children. And so, how you're for paralyzed children?
And that's the catch-22 that they always.
How could you be against this? I mean, you like seeing paralyzed children suffer, I guess, right?
No, absolutely not. I hate.
You're against the brain chip that's curing them of their disability.
This reminds me of the miracle talk, right? Oh, well, this person's sick. You don't want to save their life and have them get this miracle, and it just seems so cyclical. And when you finally, people seem to be corralled in like these instances of time, like whether it's social media or all the headlines that we see 30 different headlines a day of all this crazy stuff happening. And I think it's affecting our memory permanence, because when I look back at COVID, or when I look back at 2020,
the medical intervention period.
Yeah. And I are you worried about the robots there, Kat? Oh, I think the battery.
You froze up. Froze up there. Yeah, the cat has to make an appearance so we can get clicks, because apparently cats are popular on the interwebs.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's a good time to take the live commercial break. Sorry about the your video froze. Okay, let me go first, and then we'll plug your stuff. Live commercial break here with the cat Leia. Okay, I'm plugging Abba Enterprises, my company here. Let me try to read it through. Is your business stuck in the slow lane? Rev up success with Abba Enterprises. From razor sharp accounting to seamless QuickBooks mastery, we've got your back. Consulting that sparks growth, payroll that's always on time, taxes done with precision. Call 559-577-9250 for Abba Enterprises, your business turbocharged. And give us a subscription on the YouTube as we continue. We qualified on every tier except for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We got the hours viewed, and because there's 2 tiers, and someday, maybe, possibly, for whatever it's worth, we'll probably earn 5 cents a show. But that's our campaign, to try to meet all the qualifications for full monetization on YouTube. The last thing we need to fulfill is 1,000 subscribers. We're up to like 600 last I checked. So if you're on any of these other channels, Odysee, Rumble, Bitchute, X, Facebook, as we try to go on as many channels as we can, please jump over to Weaponized News YouTube channel and give us a subscription. All right, plug your stuff, man. What do you got to sell? You got these ray guns, electromagnetic ray guns to fight the Terminator dogs?
No, not at all.
Not yet.
Nope. Nope. I'm gonna get back to the drawing board after I see a little bit more of what they got to offer. Hopefully get some more of those promotional videos and see if I can't map out some weak points or something. But no, really just follow me on X at 7Cs_, and that's SEES with your eyes. And I am starting a Substack where I'll be writing articles and stuff, and I'll probably have that in the link in my bio there. And then I do a live stream every Wednesday from like 4 to 8 usually, where we go in and we sort of crowdsource the truth and build all these webs of connections and stuff live, which I'll show you a couple of them real quick when we get a moment. But yeah, just feel free to follow me, and if you like what you see, share it out and stuff like that. Get the truth out there.
I don't know. You're mean to Trump a lot. I don't know. Here's and then there's your link tree as well. You can find that link to all of his other sites right there on his X account, 7Cs. Let me ask you this: Where did you come up with the name 7Cs? What inspired 7Cs? The literal 7 seas, like the ocean?
Yeah.
So
it's I made this public probably 2 weeks ago or so, but my last name is actually literally SEES. And when I was like 19, I just thought it was like a kind of a play on words, a pun. So I was like, well, I'll just call myself 7 Seas. And so I made that like my Xbox gamer tag profile and like all those things. And it was on, all the chat rooms and Discord and stuff and it's just kind of stuck since then. And I kind of use it so that I keep the crazies at bay. I know the government knows who I am and where I live, but if I can keep, the more passionate people that happen to get triggered and want to do something crazy, if I can keep them away from my family, that, do whatever I can there.
Yeah, let's hope nothing like you don't trigger any maniacs. But let me ask you this before we get back to your presentation. What triggered you to want to start researching the one world government conspiracy?
That is a great question. So when I was in high school, Zeitgeist had sort of like made the rounds on YouTube and stuff, and I watched that. Realized 9/11, the Federal Reserve banking system, and all of these things, and through my started to get into all of that. As I hit my 20s, real life kind of set in place, and I had to start working and things, so I kind of fell out of it. And 2016 I started to get a little politically motivated, and then 2020 happened, gave up all hope, and was like, oh, okay, so everything is really just kind of messed up. All the world governments are working together. They're all saying the same
in
thing.
Lockstep, right? We saw them all act in lockstep. It was just a coincidence, though. They care about public health.
Yeah. And I got through it. I ended up getting like a fairly good paying job, and it was with a social media company. And in 2022, they did something that I wasn't very fond of, and I started to sort of argue and push back about it. I guess to sort of give a tell here, they moved all of their servers onto Oracle servers. And I was like, wait a minute, I know what Oracle is. Oracle's the CIA. And
good guys.
Yeah. And so I started to cause a little bit of a ruckus there. And, I just kept getting in trouble.
Did you tell them, do you guys really trust your data on their servers? Like, these guys are not, they have a history of not really being honest actors. Like, did anybody there care about that fact?
No, they were all sort of carroted, the carrot stick metaphor. They got this carrot of like, everything is going to be so great and so easy, and we're going to be actually secure and all this. And like, I knew what it was and what was coming. And it was between that. And then, I had a couple people that reported to me at that job, and I would constantly try to stick up for them and do the right thing. So I'm constantly arguing, and then I'd get in trouble, and then I'd try to do the right thing again, and I'd get in trouble, or I'd say something. So I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to work for myself. So I started.
Were you deemed non-essential? I was, thankfully, during the medical intervention lockdown period, I was working in agriculture, and I was deemed essential. So I was able to keep working throughout the whole thing, even though a lot of people in my area were deemed non-essential and essentially put out of work over the whole deal, of course, for our own safety.
Yeah. Through 2020, I was actually installing security systems, so I was considered essential.
Awesome.
Yeah, like home security systems and stuff. And then I got this other job at the social media company in like mid 2021, when everything was sort of going back to normal, but we were remote only at the time. And then as we slowly, 2021 ended, we started going back into the office and stuff. But after I had quit there in 2022 and decided I'm going to work for myself. So I started a YouTube channel, and I started playing video games and, just trying to be funny and stuff like that. And over time, I slowly started to incorporate like political discussion, but it was very surface level stuff, just making fun of politicians and talking about headlines and how it's all dumb, and not really giving any sort of like constructive criticism. And then Donald Trump taps JD Vance as his vice president. And that's when I started to look into him, because I was like, I don't know who this is. I knew who Mike Pence was when Donald Trump picked him last time, but this JD Vance guy seems to come out of nowhere. And then I learned who Peter Thiel was. And that was the first time I'd heard his name, was July of last year. And I started looking into him, and I was like, wait, so Peter Thiel's funded stuff on the left. He's funded stuff on the right. He sold the NSA the mass surveillance software that the Edward Snowden blew the whistle on. And I realized that he was connected to all these things, learned about Palantir and how much it's connected to basically everything. And that sort of like blew the door open on everything. And that was my like waking up moment, and started digging back into like history, and the Technocracy Inc. thing came up, and even going further back than that. And I sort of had like an existential crisis, and I was like, wow, everything's fake. It's always been fake, and it's going to keep being fake. And that's actually where the like reality is a conspiracy thing comes from. Cause I ended up saying that, but I had this existential crisis for a couple of days. And then I was like, I have to tell people. I have to tell people what's going on and who these people are and what they plan to do and where they come from and what they believe in. And took a little bit of a pay cut from the gaming YouTube stuff, but I think it's worth it.
I started down all this when I learned that Vietnam was started by the Gulf of Tonkin that never happened. And when I learned that, and I read those declassified documents, it pissed me off so bad, because my dad was a 100% disabled veteran from Vietnam. He was all screwed up from it. Horrible. He always told me don't trust the government. He said, we went over there and killed a bunch of people for the government. We don't even know why. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, wow. And once I read those documents that he declassified saying the Gulf of Tonkin never even happened, I went to, and right about that time when I was learning this information, they opened up Access Television here in Fresno, California, where I live. And I went over there and got trained up in media on my local, shout out to Fresno CMAC, where I still load a show, by the way. I'll load this show. I give them like an hour, 2 hours a week, and we aired on public access television over here, Fresno CMAC. Anyway, that's how I got my start. And I was like, I'm so pissed off. I want to do a show talking about how the Gulf of Tonkin never happened, and the Vietnam War was a total lie and destroyed so many American lives. It just really pissed me off to the point it motivated me to go do a show about it, railing about how evil our government is. So anyway, and then I've been on that path ever since. I don't know if it helps. Everybody I know, at first when I started learning this information, and by the way, the first book, quote, conspiracy book I ever read was David Icke. It was David Icke, Robots Rebellion in like 2006, I want to say. And, I read that and I was like, yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. I don't know about some of this, but I was like, yeah, exposing a lot of corruption. I already knew the government was corrupt. You can't trust them, but like the deep dives into it and connecting the dots. And it's like, wow, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. And everybody in my immediate circle credits me for at least sparking their interest to, hey, something's not right here. We need to look a little bit deeper than your surface level Fox News or whatever people are getting their information from. You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, at least most people say that they're grateful that I sparked that curiosity in their mind to have them go do their own research. When I start telling them all this crazy conspiracy stuff, they're like, no, that's crazy. I'm like, look it up, man. You'll see. You know what I mean? So anyway, here we are today, still trying to spread the good word.
Yeah, it's crazy the way that they set everything up too, because it is so, I guess that for lack of a better term, like incredible, fantastical, like so bizarre that you end up looking like the crazy one for trying to explain it to people. And it's like, no, I don't believe these things, but these things are happening and these guys are doing it. And people
like,
just
no,
write
they
them off.
really are this corrupt. They really are this evil. And it's should be self-evident from all the wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that just the world wars, all the wars, we've been at war since like, I forget the numbers, but like literally every year of America, except for like 5 years or something,
Yeah.
since the country's founding, we've been at war with somebody. It's like, hey, something's going on here, man. We're not the good guys. Like,
yeah. No, I absolutely, like, they've historically like violated every single right that we have on the Bill of Rights. They've, you know, been at least complicit in genocide and mass murder, and you know, and
we're the only ones that ever drop a nuke. America,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? An atomic bomb. We're the only ones that blow up Japan with an atomic bomb, but we're the good guys, right? It's like, wait, you killed all these innocent civilians over there. Well, we had them locked up in camps over here, so we're the good guys. You know what I mean? It's like, what is going on here? This is not America, you know, mom and apple pie like I thought.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, especially looking at like public schools and stuff, you know, when I remember going through like early or like late elementary, middle school, high school, being taught U.S. history, and it's like they just hit all the highlights of the timeline and then say how we were the good guys. So it's like they start you real young so they can indoctrinate you with all this stuff, and it just makes it, you know, you hit 30 something and you start to be able to really like have an understanding of the world, and it's so hard to uproot that. You know, a lot of people make it their identity. Like I see patriots around all over the place, and they're like, yeah, don't tread on me. And I'm like, you're literally supporting the people that tread on you. I don't.
Oh man, it's bad. It's bad. And the MAGA people, they just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything bad. And they refuse to see what's self-evident in front of your face, that it's just a right-wing tyranny now. You had your left-wing tyranny, and now it's just a right-wing tyranny, man. But they don't want to hear it. Trump's our savior. Trump saved it. He saved us with Liberation Day yesterday, don't you know? But I lost my life savings. Who cares? We're liberated.
Yeah, we're free.
We're free. It's like, wow. The mind control is just a sight to behold. You know, when they always say trust the science, I always tell them I do trust the science of social engineering and mind control, because you can see that it's in full effect when you go out in society and general public. It's quite a thing to behold. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, and you know, I think when MK Ultra, especially, like they had Dr. Edwin Cameron, I think was his name.
Ewing Cameron, I think was
Ewing, yeah.
Ewing Cameron.
Like how he became the president of all these psychiatric associations, like the America, Canada. I think he was part of like the World Psychiatric Association, and like all of these things that could manipulate people. That just ended up becoming like psychiatry and psychology and stuff. And it's like, imagine
they care about your mental health. See?
Yeah. and that's the thing. Like, I don't know about you. I refuse to go to therapy. I'm good.
This show is my therapy. This is my therapy, to be railing against the government on the interwebs and hoping somebody would listen and get some value out of the broadcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's cathartic.
Yes, indeed it is.
And it's tough because like the cognitive dissonance, you know, I post constantly on X, and people tend to call me like a black pillar.
You're a doom and gloomer, and you're mean to Trump and Alex Jones. You're like over the edge, man. I don't know what we're gonna do with you. Jeez.
It's so funny because you know, 5 years ago these are the same people that were saying facts don't care about your feelings, but now when you bring them facts, they're like, oh, that's black pilling. You're stop being so negative. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm okay. You know,
one great piece of news that I've been reporting on is we are, as in society, America is getting the fluoride out of public water supply in many places. And so that is one very good piece of news. And I think a victory for real public health and to not be black-pilled when we start connecting all of that. Say, look,
Yeah.
here's the giant conspiracy, and it is very dark and gloomy, and a large majority of the public doesn't want to admit it because they're under some kind of mind control. But the good news is the fluoride is getting out of the water supply, and I think that's very good news.
I do too.
A trend that we're seeing, like I reported yesterday, Miami, Florida, the biggest city in America to remove fluoridation of the public water supply. So, and then Utah, we just saw last week, the whole state banned it, and so it's becoming a very positive trend in public health.
That's good. That's good. That's really good to see. I know one of my peers, his name's Derek Bros. I'm sure you've seen some content from him before. He's really big on like the fluoride thing, and I've been kind of keeping up with it through his feed. And it's great to see. Like I have a filter that
the guys doing the real work that are fighting the legal battle is called Fluoride Action Network. Yeah, and they're doing God's work as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, wasn't it basically admitted that fluoride was a neurotoxin by like the FDA?
It's admitted by by a Harvard study. Yeah, it's mainstream establishment science admitted it's a neurotoxin and reduces children's IQ is where we're at now with it, which all the conspiracy theorists are screaming for forever, right? But now it's like publicly acceptable and mainstream establishment science. So they're doing the right thing and actually stopping the forced medication of fluoridating the water supply. So that's one big victory. We still got many other attacks we're under, as you know, but to not try to black pill people, because I do think, why even do the show if it's just all doom and gloom and we're all dead anyway? I think that maybe possibly we could turn it around if people would just say there is no political solution and take personal responsibility and stand up for natural law.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Then we could turn it around. I realize the show is so entertaining. It is enthralling, I have to admit. You know what I mean? If you follow politics, which the people that are pushing the agenda, it is entertaining. I'll give them that. You know what I mean? Trump is entertaining. He's a great marketer too. I will give him that.
Yeah, I will say, especially since Trump entered the political scene, it seems like every day there is a slew of things to talk about. And it really does like boil down to perception, you know, like I have this like whole technocracy system that makes it seem like we're all doomed. But I
like, how do we beat this thing? It's pretty damn scary, right? And dark.
Yeah. And I see it as, you know, everything works like a market where it requires participation in order to succeed. And the more people I can maybe even just scare into like shocking them to be like, look, this is what's happening. It's true. All these things are facts. And maybe they'll be like, oh shit, now is the time to
maybe I shouldn't give all my data to the cloud. That's who knows, the CIA has access, the NSA, whatever, or just a private company that's dirty actors or whatever. Maybe I should take personal responsibility and control of my important data. Would be just one thing that that should click in your head. It always clicked to me. Like, I don't want these whoever, I don't even know them. I know that we probably can't trust them. As history is showing us, they'll really just push delete and you're gone. You know what I mean?
So. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like to add on to that, like big food, you know, stop buying things at the grocery store and start networking.
Hey, reading food label ingredients is a conspiracy theory.
Well, luckily I get all mine from farmers where they don't even have the labels. So
you're doing good. You're doing really good with that. If everybody, because like I always tell people, my wife especially is like, because she's like, yeah, but this, that, and I'm like, well, it's so toxic, our environment. We have to mitigate as much as we can. We're never going to be 100% organic, pure, all of this, but we can at least mitigate as much of the big stuff as possible. Try to eat organic. don't have a smart meter. Don't you know what I mean? There are things we can filter your water, because it's not just fluoride. There's so many freaking toxins in your water. You got to filter your water. Basic stuff like that. We can try to mitigate as much as, and that's up to the individual to go ahead and do. And it's a little bit more work, and you give up some convenience. But once you get into that lifestyle and it's in the back of your brain, I can't drink this water out of the tap because there's all this toxic chemicals in it. I won't. I refuse to. I'm going to find some filtered clean water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and once you put these things into practice too, like you do legitimate. I feel way better now. Like I'm drinking raw milk. I'm eating stuff that comes
raw milk
directly
spreads bird flu, man. I don't know. You're risking it. They literally shut down. They attacked right where I'm at in Central Valley of California. We're like the ag center of the nation. They went after a raw milk called Organic Pasture. They made them pull all of their products off the market because of bird flu. The California Health Department did. And I was like, you're clearly attacking a small independent business that's producing organic and raw dairy products. It's like, it was clear to me, but hey, they kept us safe from bird flu. So I guess I shouldn't complain.
Yeah, I think Trump's small business administrator, Kelly Loeffler, is actually married to the guy that owns the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow, I didn't know that. And wasn't she very dirty? I want to say she got caught up in dirty stock dealings, right?
Yep.
When she was a senator, right?
Yeah, back in 2020, her and her husband both dumped a bunch of retail stock and all of these things and invested in like remote conferencing.
Like they knew the medical intervention was coming.
Yeah, they did that in January, and I think we shut down in like March, roughly.
Almost like they were read in on the script, huh?
Yeah, exactly. They're a couple of regular Nancy Pelosi's.
Hey, they're just genius. They follow Kramer on CNBC, right? And so it's great advice from that guy, and yeah, they're investment geniuses.
Yeah, definitely no coincidence there,
man.
It's so I've been.
What are we gonna do with her? She's thoroughly corrupt, right? But now she's the head of what? Small Business Administration, SBA, the same ones that handed out the bailouts, the PPP loans, payroll protection program loans. That kept everybody's mouth shut and kept us limping along there a little bit, you know.
If there wasn't any more indication that it's all like professional wrestling, we also have Linda McMahon as the Secretary of Education
on the top rope with a big elbow for your education. It's like, look, they're telling you, will you believe it? MAGA, they're making it great again. Which needed to happen. This is the whole thing, the idea of the setup, right? Because the Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, bloated, corrupt, all this stuff. Like any sane person says, yeah, we need to get rid of it or do something different with failing outcomes. But then what are we going to get? And then you literally put up ex-CEO of WWF Wrestling. And they're like, look, this is the corporate chief that's going to dismantle the corrupt Department of Education. Wow.
Yeah, and
And so one part of me is like cheering it on, but I'm like in the back of my head, I know they got bigger plans, and this is not exactly what is being portrayed to us. They're not really cleaning up the corruption. They are on one level, but we're going to get a whole nother level of corruption like nothing we've ever seen before.
Yeah, Elon is even quoted as saying I can't remember if it was an interview or if he was doing a live stream, but he said that, in the next 10 years, AI and robots will be teaching your kids. And who needs a Department of Education when it's all just robots,
Yep, indeed. And so it feels like these people, all the government workers, they just took for granted that the gravy train was never going to end, and they literally set themselves up for failure because they refused to be, good stewards of our government. Supposedly we're self-governed. We're self-governed here, supposedly. But then you go and look at who's working for the government, and it's all these corrupt people that could give a damn about our, quote, democracy.
Yep.
Which is actually allegedly supposed to be constitutional republic representative democracy. And they just don't give a damn about it. I guess that's just the nature of humans, but it seems like it's a long time coming. They set themselves up for this fall.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that because they finally have the technology to have like an AI run government, and they have blockchain available to, you know, permanently record like everyone's transactions. They have the facial recognition technology now. They have the satellites, the data centers, and all these things are sort of coming into place that we're very much seeing sort of this like dialectic. I like to call it the Hegelian dialectic, where they make one thing so bad that you beg for like a manufactured problem so that they can hand you an agenda-based solution.
Yeah, that seems how that's a major tool of their social engineering program. And then so, hey, you guys wanted it, but wait a minute, you guys caused that problem that made us want a solution in the first place. We never get to rewind and go back. It's just the march forward here to the one world government. Will we? Do you think we'll ever get a one world government, or will they just keep operating like they do now in like blocks? And I believe they're all in these secret societies behind the scenes. The quote world leaders literally just laughing their heads off at people. But the problem is they are killing real people in these wars, and the tyrannical actions do take real lives. But at the end of the day, it feels like they're just all in Freemasons or whatever secret society, and just all good old boys laughing it up at their serfs that they rule over.
Yeah. I as far as that model I was showing you with the technological system, I think that they're slowly building that up in every country, and eventually one day all they have to do is just flip a switch and then they're all connected. And this is just a theory of mine, but I think like a lot of the UFO disclosure and stuff that's coming from governments and things like that is conditioning us to the idea that out in space somewhere there's this Emmanuel Goldstein type character, to reference 1984, that is going to end up attacking us or something like that, so that we have to unite as a species, because what other hope do we have? We have to have the brain chip so that we can be smart enough and capable enough to take on this new enemy that we're coming into contact with.
That's a good segue. Project Bluebeam, they've been floating that idea where they would project holograms in the sky of your chosen religious figure coming back, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, whatever, name it, for whatever your flavor. And then also a stage of fake alien invasion to bring about we all have to unite because of this outside threat. And so that I do believe that is in the cards. What do you think about the whole lizards? Are there interdimensional reptile beings? What do you think of this?
That is an excellent question, and I have been asked
Speaking
that quite
of
a lot.
Aliens and the 80s TV show V, are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
You've never seen V?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch V. Just look up it. It's lizard aliens that invade the world.
Oh wow!
You got to look up V. It was a mini series in the 80s.
Okay.
And they're wearing human masks, right? But you peel off the mask and they're literally reptiles, lizards.
Oh wow! And that VEE?
Just V.
Just the letter V.
Just the letter V. It's like V for victory. I think the rebels, and it's crazy in that mini series. The scientists that are not going along with it, that know something's wrong, because all the world governments go along with the aliens, but because they bought them off, whatever the reason. But there's a group of scientists that they call on that show conspiracy theorist scientists that are calling it out, saying these aliens, which they portray through the media and through the government as being the good guys. There's a group of conspiracy scientists that are hiding out, say, no, they're bad, they're evil aliens.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, you got to watch V. I think you will enjoy it very much. It's a mini series.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out because like I'm a huge fan of like the movie They Live and Invasion of the Body Snatchers and all of those where it's like there are things living among us. Now, to go back to your question about whether I think there are alien reptiles or
interdimensional beings, I guess you could call them.
Yeah, I will say that just like with my recency to everything, I haven't done the research to say whether or not that is the case. Now, I do get asked that question a lot because of my association with David Icke, and from everything that I've seen, I don't see why he would plant his flag there and keep it there for 30 years. And then all of these other things that I have looked into that he's sort of spoken about, I've found to be true. So I don't know if it's, I don't want to discredit it or say that it's not possible, but I haven't given it the time and the sort of research that I think it needs for me to formulate distinctive opinion on it one way or the other. I won't rule it out. That's for sure.
That's fair. There's something going on, man. There's some, these people are possessed by an evil spirit at the very least that would make you, well, they have the mindset of psychopaths.
Yeah.
That is the elite people in government, the rulers of this world, because they seem to get, and we know too, I truly believe they're in the dark occult, and that's what's giving them the knowledge to control the rest of us that are not part of it. Is they're using for however long they've been in control, probably over 2,000 years, and that's what's giving them the knowledge to control the large majority of us that are not in that secret society, dark occult world.
Oh yeah. I'm have you looked at all, I'm sure you have, but the cult of Saturn or the black cube of Saturn?
They wear the aardvarks wear that cube on their head.
Yep. Yeah, I think I've heard the term blockhead used before.
Was it Tineless? I think it's called Tineless, I want to say. Anyway, they take like the black tape and Bibby even posted a video of him doing it, doing the ritual. Yeah, on his X account. I was like, there you go. They're not even hiding it. They're the good guys. God's chosen people. You know what I mean? I wouldn't question them. They're in this weird Saturn cult. And then at Mecca, that black cube, right? And then they got all the Muslims in it too. Literally they'll die to go see the black cube and bow down to it. Like what? This is very bizarre behavior.
Yeah, and I see the more that I've learned about that cult and the things that they believe in and sort of their goals with everything, it just makes the world's never made more sense to me than it does today. You know, I don't,
for lack of a better term, it's a Babylon mystery religion.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have all the iconography, you know, they even have like the material stuff. You have Trump at Mar-a-Lago with the goat that's made out of $100 bills and has the gold horns and everything.
He's a good Christian. He's a good Christian.
And then you have, you know, it's all over in movies. Like I think back to Interstellar, right? And the black hole there was like right by Saturn. And you know, now that I see I'm familiar with all of the iconography and the association with the sigil of Saturn and the goat horn, you know, all of those things. I see it everywhere, and I feel like I can't even like watch anything on like streaming services or TV anymore because I'm like, this is that, and I'm like, I'm done with this. I need to get out of here and look stuff up.
They're throwing it in your face, right? As mockery rituals.
Yep. Predictive programming, normalization,
Mind
all of these
control to
things.
maybe try to recruit you into their cult.
Yeah, I think that's where you know, you see a lot of people always flaunt, like I think of like an Andrew Tate figure, right, where he's always like flaunting his wealth and showing you his 10,000 Bugattis or whatever's happening, and I think
telling
that's
you how to be a real man is abuse women, right? And like you say, be flamboyant, flaunt your wealth, and that's how you be a real man, really.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, he has a bunch of young, impressionable boys and young men following his lead, and it just seems like extremely toxic, extremely damaging to any real relationship with a woman that you may want to have, like get married and have kids. Like following what that guy says is it's going to lead you to a loser life and unfulfilled, I believe, which is the design of the garbage that he's selling, I believe.
Absolutely. And you know, he had that Hustlers University thing where he sells courses to them, so he's making money off of them just to try to indoctrinate them into being just like him, even though he's getting funded by, you know, all these things behind the scenes. So even his behaviors and actions and stuff don't result in this. And if wealth is the measure of success, I'm screwed. I don't.
But you're not taking any of it with you. That's 100% fact. Nobody could deny. Well, even the Egyptians, right, try to bury in their tombs all their gold, all their treasures. You ain't taking it with you. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's you know, I like to I like to think that placing value on the non-material is the best way to fight that. So, you know, investing your time in people and investing your time in your principles and discipline and, like you said, self-accountability and self-dependence and stuff. And I think that's the way to really sort of take a step back. And once you're in it for even just a couple of months or a few weeks or so, you can look back at society and say, wow, everybody's obsessed with the material and the wealth and the physical plane and, you know, what you can have.
The new current thing.
Yeah.
What about, have you ever heard the idea, and I think there's been studies about it, that like 70 or 80% of people don't have an inner dialogue? Have you heard this?
I was actually just talking with Greg Reese earlier today about that, and I don't understand it because I've always talked to myself. Now, whether, you know, that makes me crazy or not, that's fine.
It's just called having a conscience, I think.
Yeah. And these people that are often labeled like NPCs, you know, non-playable characters, I think those are the ones that don't have a dialogue, and it's just they're highly directive and just are here to carry out their functions, whatever that is. And you can usually always see it in the eyes. You know, you look at these people and they just fluoride stare you to death.
Crazy, man. Crazy. That's what we're up against.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got some more headlines. What do you think of this crazy story? They said they made it illegal for Americans to have relations with Chinese. Did you see this one that came out today?
No.
Yeah, but see if I can find the story here. Yeah, U.S. bans government personnel in China from romantic or sexual relations with Chinese citizens. That's the AP.
Oh, wow.
Look at, I don't know. What do you think of this? It's pretty wild. They're going to tell you about your personal relationships here now if you work for the government. That seems pretty controlling.
Yeah, especially the fact that they don't even live in the U.S. You're going to let some other country you're not even in tell you who you can love?
And what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So I thought that was a pretty crazy headline. I don't know. What do you think of these tariffs? Is it going to make America great again? Is the rest of the world going to get in line? And suspiciously enough, Russia and North Korea were not tariffed at all.
Oh, really?
And so that's causing Blue Anon, the left-wing conspiracy theorists, to say, look, here's proof. Trump has Putin's brain chip implanted by Elon Musk. And so here's more proof of that he didn't even bother to tariff Russia when he tariffed the whole, or more than 180 countries around the world.
Yeah, I think it's not good because, you know, we've sort of become dependent on this system that's sort of this international trade where we're getting products from China and Europe and, you know, South America and all these places, and it's penalizing the country for doing business with us, and that never seems like a good idea. And on top of that, I don't think that it's the government's place to be able to dictate that sort of thing. Like this, I thought we were a free market, you know, and it doesn't seem very free, even though he's claiming it's liberating us.
It's free market, man. Free trade.
Yeah.
Are they? It feels like they're ending. Feels like they're ending this phase of globalization, and now we're going into, as we've reported extensively here, into a new world order in a multipolar world where the U.S. hegemon is not going to be the only global superpower, as China and Russia and India are all massively expanding their power base. And it feels like we're going to have to share some of that with them, or have a major world war, which is probably also in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like the U.S. empire is winding down here now to you.
That is sort of what it does feel like. And I think that, you know, when it comes to, you know, seeing the mass systemic immigration that's been facilitated by the government, largely under Joe Biden, but it's happened with most presidents in my lifetime, at least. And we're seeing, you know, the tariffs, the downturn of the economy. Meanwhile, we have all these investments in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Russia. China is still the economic machine they've been for the past 10, 15 years. And India, especially, like a lot of people don't know that they're getting tons of investments from like big tech firms and things like that.
It was announced last week, according to India GDP, they're now the world's 5th largest economy. So they're
really,
yes. It used to be California. They used to always say California is the 5th largest economy in the world, but now India is, according to their GDP numbers.
That's insane. And especially thinking like they have, is it the second most people behind China, or?
I think it's the first. I don't know. They're up there with both over 1 billion. They got a lot of heads over there.
Yeah. And I think that is sort of an intentionality where we put all this hope and faith and given all of this leeway to all of these transnational corporations that they don't have any allegiances to the United States. They're going to follow the money. And the way that it's looking is we are starting to be on the economic downturn here in the West. And so they're all just going to try to pull a Nancy Pelosi and get out while the getting's good, you know?
I don't know. Trump swears up and down he's brought in how many trillions of dollars. We're rebooting American manufacturing here, he says. How many trillions does he say? He keeps going over all that's invested. We haven't seen much of anything yet, but this is the big talk from Trump. You think it's going to come to fruition, or this is all just smoke and mirrors?
I think the only language that politicians can speak is rhetoric.
That's true.
But I do think that a lot of it is definitely to sort of court his base into still believing, trusting the plan, going along with everything. And then I'm also wondering how much of that trillion or however many trillions is going to go to aardvark land, because I think we're up to 15-16 billion, and we're only 3 months into his presidency.
By the way, Bibi, our shadow president, is coming to visit. It was where do they say next week, I think. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's coming to the White House. Trump says he spoke with Bibi and confirmed he will visit the White House as early as next week. So we have that to look forward to. That's always fun when we can all worship Bibi.
Finally, our government all agrees on something. He's going to get another standing ovation for 2 minutes.
I don't know if he's going to Congress. I think he's just going to the White House. Hopefully he'll go to Congress too, and we can all worship him.
Yeah,
it's wild though, man. What more and more people are, like you say, even the quote, I don't even know what you call them, mainstream alternative media. I guess that's the phrase. Like you're saying, even more and more of them are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, this is getting a little bit crazy with all the aardvark land, just how anything goes for them, and there is no fault. When if you go and look and just read aardvark newspapers, there's a lot of internal political strife. Bibi right now has a corruption trial going on. They just arrested his two top guys in his administration. Like, it's not all well and good in aardvark land, but over here we act like they're God's chosen people. They've never done anything wrong, and they're just helping us fight the war on terror that's lasted 25 years here now. And it's just retribution for October 7th, where they stood down at the very least. And they created the whole terror outfit, Hamas, but they're doing the right thing now by getting rid of them.
Yeah, it reminds me of ISIS. You know, they trained them, they armed them, and they were like, okay, here, why don't you come attack us and get the West against you so that we can come bulldoze Gaza. And
the best enemy money can buy. Bin Laden was our friend when he was fighting Russia in Afghanistan, but then that war ended and he became our enemy, supposedly, allegedly.
Yeah. And then we had those dancing aardvarks that day. I'm sure that was nothing.
That was nothing. The whole you saw the whole thing where they did an art project installation there. All these aardvark intelligence agents, allegedly, they were just art students spreading their goodwill there in the World Trade Center towers. Wow. Yeah.
And then who was it? Larry Silverstein ended up getting the insurance payout doubled because it was 2 buildings. He claimed it was 2 attacks instead of just the one. And then there was World Trade Center 7, the Solomon Brothers building, and
the whole complex. There's even like World Trade Center 6, like the whole complex there. The whole thing it's beyond ridiculous that the war on terror is still going on. And think of this: we attacked every country in West Asia there that didn't ever have anything to do with it, even allegedly. We attacked every country that they say didn't even have anything to ever do with it, but Iraq, Afghanistan, they're the bad guys, Syria. I guess we didn't attack them that bad. See, my heart was broken. I really wanted to believe in Trump the first term, but then they did the false flag Syria chemical weapons attack, and we shot them with missiles. And I guess we just blew up. Like, it wasn't a big attack, if you could remember it. It was like a chemical warehouse or something. But I was like, no, you said you're the peace president. You're not buying into this BS, and you're done with it. But then, here you go again. And I was like, that broke my heart, man. Early into his first term, I remember that. I was like, no, you're the same as all the rest. This right here proves it.
Yeah, and then we had 2020, and that just
that's further. Over the top. How anybody after that, it's like, oh, but you really don't understand. No, I lived through it. I do understand exactly what all they did here now. And if you believe Trump saved the world, then I don't know what to tell you, man. You have serious delusion going on here.
Yeah, and then I mean, even now, the Operation Stargate, where he's given.
But isn't it funny, the miracle how people base their health decisions on politics? So when Trump's in there, the left winger said, I don't want a miracle. It came from Trump. It's the same miracle. But then Biden gets in there and like, line up for us, the greatest thing ever. It's like, wait a minute. That's that same concoction, regardless of who's president. But yet when one guy's there, you say, no, I hate it. It's the worst thing ever. I don't trust it. Same concoction. But your guy gets in there. You're supposed guy, and now you line up and it's the greatest thing ever. Like, how my brain doesn't work that way. I can't understand the way of thinking to a large majority of American public politicizes everything, and it's very unhealthy, I believe.
I agree, and I would honestly love to see their like mental fitness test, because they're doing backflips all day in their head. They have to be in shape, man.
to make any of this make sense, it's the 1984 double think.
Yep.
Like, how can you rationalize two separate ideas in your mind at the same time and say this is correct? Logically speaking, it makes no sense, and it'll drive you crazy. I guess that's why we see and it seems to be more, quote, left wingers than right wingers, but now we're seeing right wingers are they're gonna have their day in the sun too here, it seems. Now, if you're so married to political ideology, then when something doesn't go your way, you wind up having a nervous breakdown. And then a lot of people film it and put it on the internet. What could possess you to do that? I don't know, but they do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin, all the way down from the reactions to the brainwashing to the idolizing of tyrants. And I'll just say, don't trust your government. Don't take anything that the government gives you. It's always a trap. Don't put anything that they give you in or on your body, and you should be okay. Don't buy the robot.
So it's a trap, man. And why can't people see that? Why can't at least the right wingers used to be anti-government. They're like, nope, don't trust the government. I don't care who's in there. Don't tread on me, right? Yeah. And just, we can't trust the government. But we get Trump in there, and now we all trust the government and love them again. It's like, what? No, it's the same government. There's just a different guy in there, but it's the same government.
Yeah.
Like, you guys think that some magic way, one man, the president, the chief executive, is he's in there now, and so everything's fine, and we can just forget about all the corruption? Like, how does that? It doesn't work that way.
Honestly, I'm hoping that maybe the removal of the fluoride in the water might make something click eventually. Maybe
we can be blessed by that fact that with the removal of the fluoride, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what do we got? We got like, I know you wanted to do 2 hours, so we got like two minutes left here. Give it, because I know they're going after you. I see them on the interwebs calling you a doomer. Yeah. And a black pillar. Leave us with some optimistic message for the future here, please.
Absolutely. So I would say that, everyone is always asking me for solutions, and I think the hardest thing about it is there is no one size fits all solution. That's the very thing we're trying to avoid. What you should do is always trust in the self, faith in the self. Think critically, question everything, especially authority, and start talking to people. Talk to people in regular life, and instead of focusing so much on the identity politics of everything, see whether or not they're sick of it too, and start networking with people. Find a hobby that is doing something with your hands that keeps you busy. Maybe you can even make money off of it, but find every single way that you can to reduce the amount of taxes you're paying. Move away from the city if you can. Get away from big food and the big food industry. Go finance your local farmer. They are fantastic people. Ask them how they feel about Bill Gates. I promise you'll have a really good conversation. It's up to us. The buck stops here. We have more control than they want us to believe, and as long as every single person can find their level of stepping out of the paradigm of control, a drop in the bucket ends up adding up to an ocean over time.
Awesome, man. See, you're not the doom and gloomer that they claim on the X.
I know it. That's just their way of discrediting me, man.
That was very uplifting. Well, we truly do appreciate your time here, Seven Seas. Thank you very much. We'll have to do it again as we progress down the path of one world government. I believe that it doesn't matter, you put whoever in whatever position, they're going to it's an agenda, okay? And so they are going to continue to carry out the agenda. But like you say, I believe we can do our little piece here and there, and maybe throw a little bit of rock in the spoke here, and stick in the spoke as much as we can reasonably do. And if everybody did that, like you said, hey, we would have big effects for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thank you very much again. As always, let's plug you one more time, how people can find you. Well, there's your X account down there at the bottom. That's the best way, at 7Cs_.
Absolutely. And I have my link in there, and I live stream Wednesdays, and we build out the different webs and stuff, and crowdsource the truth together.
Awesome. For very deep dives on the scientific dictatorship, technocracy, all the global conspiracy against us, you and me and everybody else that's not in their secret society, tune in to 7Cs at 7Cs_. You can see it right there at the bottom of your screen. Tune in to Weaponized News daily here, Monday through Friday. What is it? 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. We appreciate everybody tuning in on all the channels. Let me just quickly go to the chat, and then we'll sign off on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. Quite a chat going in the Odysee. Thank you guys for tuning in on Odysee. Huffman, Bob, Unknown. We're missing Barry today. I'm sure Barry will watch the replay, but we're missing Barry. Highland, shout out to you on the Odysee. Thank you for tuning in on Odysee. Rumble, we have quite a chat on the Rumble. Our regular viewers over there, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, keeping the chat lively, and keeping me going on this thankless task of trying to be informed about the insanity that we find ourselves there in 2025 as we march toward that one world government agenda fulfilling itself more and more every day. But it seems they're getting a little bit more sophisticated here with it now. In the most recent update of Orange Man and his administration is getting a lot more sophisticated, actually. And so thank you for tuning in on the Rumble, the Bitchute. Thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute, the X. Thank you for tuning in on X, YouTube, as always, Kick, and Twitch, for what it's worth, on the video game platforms. Who people tune in there to watch people play video games. Anyway, not about the hard news like here at Weaponized News. So again, as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and liberty. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. We'll see you back